Today, we need to get into Suga allegedly breaking some rules and what happened there. We need to talk about Jung Kook addressing his enlistment on a live stream and him possibly shaving his head. And then we need to get into HYBE cutting Jung Kook off. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave Desai. Hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Go wherever it's on the Teespilling mug merch and let's go. BTS members are famously known for breaking the rules when it comes to using Android products or Samsung. Our boys seemingly really like Apple products. Allegedly, there was a situation in which the fandom really believed that Jungkook was actually using an iPhone as opposed to an Android. He posted a short snippet of a cover by Dan and Shay called 10,000 Hours, and it was believed that under the tweet, it said that the song was posted via an iPhone. This is all alleged, as most of us were not actually there when this was tweeted to confirm if this was true. But the snippet was deleted apparently after only a few minutes, and then a couple hours later Jungkook reposted the full version of the song and it suddenly said it was posted via Android. Now if Jungkook did initially post via iPhone, what is the issue? Well, if that were true, contractually Jungkook and BTS members are not allowed to be seen using iPhone at all, since they're supposed to be the ambassador of Samsung. Samsung is also a Korean company. It's also a highly respected one that is actually a big part of the South Korean economy because of their stock. So being the ambassador of Samsung is of course a big honor. Most Korean idols are ambassadors of Samsung, so they avoid other phone companies because the contracts usually have an exclusivity clause, so no advertising or promoting competing brands. And of course celebrities have to be really careful because anything they even look at is considered an endorsement. However, these Twitter things can sometimes glitch, and Jungkook could very much love both of the brands. Celebrities use all sorts of products in their off time. It's literally impossible for someone to not use another big brand or competing brand. Brands like to promote this idea of brand loyalty, but most people, including celebrities, will just use the brand that has the best product. So Samsung might do this one thing better than iPhone, but then iPhone might do this other thing better than Samsung. So you'd have both. And all of this is just a conspiracy. People then accuse BTS members of having a love triangle between Samsung trying to get their attention versus iPhone. However, the iPhone is mostly pretty big here in the US due to the status symbol it holds, but most people overseas actually use Samsung or Android. And if everyone has an iPhone, does it really represent having wealth at this point? Now, whether or not the BTS boys actually have a big love of Android or Samsung products is still completely up in the air, and I won't speak for them. However, one of the boys has shown time and time again that they are indeed huge lovers of Samsung, and that is Suga. When he became the ambassador, he pretty much got rid of all Apple products. You can see that he is at the airport and he is no longer wearing AirPods. And even when he posts on social media and you can see the reflection of his phone, we can see that it's not an iPhone. There's also a moments where we see Suga at concerts talking about Galaxy. I think he genuinely just enjoys the product, and so we love that. Tons of armies are Galaxy users. But speaking of Jungkook doing things, we know about the famous clip of Jungkook sleeping for 20 minutes on a live stream. This caught huge news and media attention, as there were literally 6 million people watching Jungkook literally do nothing. And it was evident here that Jungkook can literally do nothing and get millions of views, and much more live viewers than some well-produced, expensive TV show could even get. But the live stream was definitely controversial to HYBE, allegedly, because when Jungkook had allegedly attempted to do this before, back in March of 2023, this was in his bedroom with the lights off, and there were viewers left with just a candle in the frame. This happened for about 5 minutes before the stream was cut off. It was likely not cut off by Jungkook, but we don't know. If you're not aware, many label staff are hired specifically for situations like this and to monitor artists' live streams. So if there's anything at all happening, the label can act fast, call who they need to call, or send over who they need to send over. Other situations are likely that the HYBE staff has access to the stream and can just click a button to end it. So fast forward to this more recent stream where Jungkook slept for 20 minutes, it was cut off randomly at 20 minutes. Many were happy that the stream had even gone on for this long, and others were wondering if a HYBE intern was sleeping and then frantically woke up to Jungkook sleeping only to immediately turn it off. However, my theory is that I think the staff knew what Jungkook was trying to do, and that armies would use the stream as a way to fall asleep, which is what they did. So they wanted to keep the stream going long enough to where people would be able to fall asleep with Jungkook, and 20 minutes is usually enough. The staff then went ahead and turned it off as opposed to keeping it on for 8 hours. The job of these people is to create this fantasy for you, and the less you see of them, the more the fantasy gets heightened in your own head, because we as humans like to fill in the blank. This is okay in my eyes to a certain extent. If you're doing this to the point of delusion, where when it's broken, your whole world comes crumbling, then you need to reevaluate that. But this live stream was also heavily talked about for another reason that was very interesting. Jungkook's hair was specifically shorter. Why does this matter? Well, Jungkook said during a previous live stream that he was going to be doing hair lighting, which is basically a version of gaslighting, but for hair. So he was going to slowly cut it until one day it was just so short and armies won't notice, and then it will be the enlistment time. Of course, there's still the solo album that we have to look forward to before that, but I do think it's funny that Jungkook thinks armies won't notice when they literally download every stream and compare every stream side by side to the previous stream to see if there's even an eyelash that is different and what that would possibly mean in terms of what his album would sound like, because we do that. If you want to see the full extent of fangirling and what we like to talk about when watching BTS's music videos, head over to Patreon. I can't post the reaction here on YouTube due to copyright, but we do have a great community over there that is so much fun, so I hope you join us there. Link in the description. People think that he will shave his head completely very soon, and we are seeing the start of that, meaning the enlistment is not going to be too far. And we actually almost got a new update on the military situation. There is a Twitter account called Big Hit Info, and they allegedly provide information for all artists under Big Hit. Now, I don't know the credibility of the account, but that's not as important, and you'll see why in a little bit. But the account talks about how the remaining BTS members will enlist by the end of this year. This includes V and Jungkook, who have not had anything out yet. But then later in the tweet goes on to say that Jungkook will have solo ventures in early next year. But how? If he's gone by the end of this year? Then they went to say that Jungkook and V can apply for postponement but are choosing to go now so they can come back sooner. That part is fine. But the reason why it's not as important if this is true or not is because the fandom believes it's true. And I want to say that we must not jump the gun until we have an official statement from HYBE. So reading this tweet makes it appear like that we know the date, but we actually have no idea when the date is. The likelihood of Jungkook enlisting by the end of this year, in my opinion, is quite low. I think it would be entirely too rushed, and I think Jungkook would have an explosive album cycle, meaning he would have a lot to do. He will attend more fashion shows, he will have a ton of promotion and press to do, and there's a big possibility that both of them and HYBE would prefer to do a world tour like what Suga did. And if they want to make any significant amount of money from the tour, then they have to do significant shows, which means it will take a few months. So my theory is maybe middle of next year, and this would give V an opportunity to have a good album cycle and promotion cycle as well. And I think his album will be explosive too. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out my Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks for this lovely comment right here. Love you, bye.